Right now, this very second, you are already capable of realizing your dreams. But you need to channel your energy in the right direction. When you scroll through your content feed, you absorb gigabytes of visual, auditory, and semantic information in a second, and your brain isn't slowed down by laziness. So, why does it resist any complex task? And how can we make it not just work, but dream of solving complex problems? The human brain is more powerful than any existing computer. Its computing power allows it to perform 10 quadrillion operations per second, but it's difficult to control. It's impulsive and emotional. Therefore, to gain control over it, evolution created the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for planning, willpower, and restraining animal instincts. Your problem isn't laziness or procrastination. There's nothing wrong with your brain. You're not crooked or defective. It's just that a child is at the helm of your brain. You command it to work, ask it to go to bed early, beg it to go to the gym, but it resists. The culprit of your laziness is your prefrontal cortex, which can't handle it. It's incapable of operating at full capacity 24/7, and it's constantly fighting back against the limbic system, which is responsible for animal desires and emotions. Throughout your life, you've never felt complete control over your brain. But that's not your fault, because there are two reasons for that. The first is the rate at which your frontal lobes develop. They begin to fully function around age 20 and aren't fully formed until age 25. The second reason is debuffs, negative effects that affect cognitive function. Energy is depleted during difficult work and restored during rest and sleep. Every task drains your self-control resources. What debuffs, according to research, deplete the resources of the frontal lobes? Lack of sleep. The prefrontal cortex loses 60% of its activity in just one night. The limbic system also gets stimulated. Social media loses 20% in 15 minutes of scrolling. And if this continues daily, the frontal lobes shrink physically. There are two main culprits of your laziness. They consume the resources of the frontal lobes, skillfully hiding from your sight. The first is unfinished tasks. Research shows that the prefrontal cortex stores any postponed task in active memory. This means the brain expends resources as if it were working on each such task right now. Calling your mom, paying off your student loans, or paying off your loan are no big deal. But if dozens of such tasks pile up, the brain simply becomes paralyzed. It won't want to do anything because it won't know what to do. In its mind, any postponed task must be done now. You think it's laziness, but in reality, the balance is hanging over you. All your self-control is tucked away in the background, and you can't remember. But there's a second culprit: suppressed emotions. If you don't express your worries, your prefrontal cortex must constantly suppress them. This wastes self-control. Now imagine your boss is an asshole, and you hold back your anger every day. This explains why most people are stressed. I'm sure you don't want this fate. The good news is, there's a solution. First, we need to clear out all the tasks that have been cluttering your brain, all the postponed tasks, and all the suppressed emotions. Let's start with the tasks. Get a notebook or a file in your notes where you write down each of your tasks. The thing is, until you write down your tasks, your brain is constantly recalling each one. You forget one, then remember another. So our goal is to create a separate place for ourselves where tasks can be stored without overloading our brain's RAM. It's like transferring a file from your computer to a flash drive to free up memory. First, write down everything that comes to mind, all the tasks that have been swirling around in our heads for weeks, months, even years. It's not quick. It won't take 5 minutes, but days. Once you've completed them, you'll already feel a sense of relief at this stage. But that's not all. The next step is dividing your tasks into 3 categories. The first is to close them immediately. These are tasks that take less than 15 minutes. Write a short letter, pay a fine, file paperwork. Do them right now, and you'll instantly feel a surge of energy. The second category is to plan. Anything that can't be accomplished in 15 minutes, write it down clearly in your calendar. Title: Due date. When a task receives a specific due date, the brain deletes it from working memory. It stops burdening the brain because it now has a precise date, not an abstract one later. And the third category is deleting. Looking at a task, ask yourself, what will happen if I never complete it? If the answer is nothing critical, delete it ruthlessly. Every task you throw away instantly frees up resources. Next, your goal is to completely empty the list, completing every single task. We've completed the tasks. Now, let's move on to emotions. These are much more complicated. You can't simply close them, postpone them, or delete them. You need to release them. Fortunately, there are 3 proven ways. The first is physical release. Sports, walking, cycling, all of these literally burn off pent-up cortisol and adrenaline, freeing the brain from the task of constantly suppressing emotions. The second way is writing down your emotions. Make it a habit to unload your emotions on paper every day. Write down everything that's accumulated throughout the day. Anger at your boss, worry about debts, resentment towards friends. Research confirms that this approach reduces limbic system activity, thereby relieving self-control. The third method is direct expression. Your boss is infuriating. You've spoken up and quit. Work isn't worth the stress. Friends are humiliating. You said what you thought and left. You don't need friends like that. It's not a risk if you're betting on relationships that are dragging you down. There are 2 outcomes. Either it gets better or it gets a lot better. To sum it up, when you finish your tasks and release your emotions, you'll be surprised at how overloaded you really were. Neural circuits are like wires carrying impulses, and what happens to neurons when they're exhausted? They deteriorate, and you become dumber. Therefore, once you've freed up your prefrontal cortex, it needs to be restored. Reassemble the broken neural connections brick by brick. The problem is that it's not just your brain that's damaged, but your entire body, specifically your circulatory system and internal organs. You need to walk more. The health of your neurons directly depends on the health of your internal organs, because they are responsible for synthesizing neurotransmitters and maintaining hormonal balance. When you walk, your entire internal system is restored thanks to the movements of your diaphragm and abdominal muscles. More nutrients reach the brain, improve blood circulation, and increase blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. So, walk, the more, the better, and watch your breathing. By the way, most people don't know how to breathe. Shallow breathing, which is also what smoking does, and e-cigarettes limit the oxygen supply to the body. If there's not enough oxygen, brain cells die, and you gradually become dumber. Will you be able to think with a noose around your neck? They've just strangled you gently. You need to open your diaphragm and slow your breathing. Do Wim Hof exercises. Do it, and you won't hurt. And we'll move on to the last step, prefrontal cortex training. Your brain is cleared, oxygen is supplied, and blood is circulating. The last step remains. Increase the power of your prefrontal cortex. I'll give you 3 techniques that will help strengthen your frontal lobes physically. And our first exercise is sprinting. Set a timer for 90 minutes, choose a challenging task, and work on it without a single interruption. Put away your phone, turn off notifications, music, and noise. You might ask, what's supposed to be working here? Your brain isn't capable of maintaining peak concentration for more than 30 minutes at a time. This essentially means that your prefrontal cortex is simply missing the neural circuits responsible for concentration. Research shows that 90-minute blocks lead to maximum prefrontal cortex activation. At the same time, you're creating new neural circuits responsible for controlling emotions and animal signals. It's like marathon training. I recommend starting with 1 to 2 sessions a week, no more. If you feel you're struggling, set the timer for 45 minutes instead of 90, gradually increasing by 5 minutes each week. But there's a problem. After each session, you'll experience complete exhaustion of your prefrontal cortex. Fortunately, we can use this to our advantage and, while doing so, weaken the limbic system as well. This will be our second exercise. Immediately after this session, sit down, set a timer for 15 minutes, and practice Wim Hof breathing. This way, you'll completely shut off your limbic system while also strengthening new neural connections. For the brain, it's like a massage after a tough workout. And the last exercise is delaying gratification. Want to watch TikTok, eat something sweet, or buy something? Put it off for 10 minutes first. Each such delay increases control over animal desires and forms new neural connections in the prefrontal cortex. You might ask, why not try giving up completely right away, as everyone advises? Because it's like building a house in a day. Neural circuits are formed not in seconds, but over weeks or even months. That's why we start with 10 minutes, then 20 minutes a week later, and so on.
So this episode has come to an end. If you liked the episode, give it a like, write comments, and click the bell to be first to know about the next episodes.